Jason Hudson was first introduced to Black Ops fans as the handler for Alex Mason during Black Ops 1. One thing that we would find out about Jason Hudson is, yeah, he was a leader and he worked for the CIA, but he also kept a lot of secrets. For example, in Black Ops Cold War, when Frank Woods gets sent to the KGB headquarters, we end up finding out about something by the name of Operation Greenlight. This is an operation that was well known within the CIA and even known by Jason Hudson, but never told to our characters like Alex Mason, Frank Woods, or Russell Adler. This causes a big heated debate between main characters within the game.
Everybody stand down. This little pissing match isn't gonna help us catch Perseus.
Why didn't you tell us it was an American nuke?
He needed us to clean up his mess. The bastard's been lying to us all along.
It's not a lie. It's an omission of fact.
In the year 1986, when Frank Woods goes missing, Alex Mason is retired and Jason Hudson is the one to come to him to recruit him back to the CIA. And even though it doesn't seem as though these characters like each other very much, one thing is very clear: Jason Hudson is respected. And that is until his untimely demise in the year 1989 in Panama.
Your life will be consumed by absolute loss.
But as it turns out, after this time, he was keeping a bunch of information a little bit closer to the vest than we originally thought. Years later, in 1991, a tape is delivered to Russell Adler and Frank Woods in Avalon. This tape reveals that the entire time where the missions were going on in Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops Cold War, he was investigating another group known as Pantheon, once again keeping another secret. But what if I told you there was another secret, a bigger secret, one that he had been keeping from the very beginning? Tuesday, November 19th, 1963, Jason Hudson receives an email from someone by the name of John Trent with the subject line, "Everything you know is wrong."
A lie is a lie. Just because they write it down and call it history doesn't make it the truth. We live in a world where seeing is not believing. Where only a few know what really happened.
Ready when you are.
We live in a world where everything you know is wrong.
"Everything you know is wrong" is a line from the very first reveal trailer that ever came out for a Black Ops game. It is the creed, it is the motto that everything since in the Black Ops universe has been established on. And John Trent is a perfect example of this. The very first email that Jason Hudson receives says the following: "You don't know me, but I know Alex Mason. You will learn to trust me. Everything changes on Friday." But why Friday? Why Friday, November the 22nd, 1963? Well, you probably know what happens that day.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You'll excuse the fact that I'm out of breath, but about 10 or 15 minutes ago, a tragic thing has happened in the city of Dallas. Let me quote to you this. President Kennedy and Governor John Connally have been cut down by assassins' bullets in downtown Dallas.
Now, before that Friday, there were two other emails sent from John Trent, the first of which was directly to JFK with the subject line of "You have 1 day left," with the body saying victory could not be achieved without sacrifice, almost telling him what exactly was going to happen the next day, that JFK was sacrificing himself. The following email was to Jason Hudson. Its subject line, "Now you understand." And it said it was by the hand of Nikita Dragovich. "This is just the beginning. They are everywhere. Start at Vorkuta. To escape the breakout, you know one of them, the other just died." So this is referring to Vorkuta prison, the place where Alex Mason was brainwashed, and that's who we see and what we see Jason Hudson doing with Alex Mason the entire time, trying to deprogram his mind. Now, here's what's interesting. At the end of the Vorkuta mission, this is what Reznov says to Alex Mason.
Your turn! Come on! Step 8, Reznov! Freedom! For you, Mason! Not for me! Reznov!
So when we see this email, we think that they're referring to Alex Mason, the one that they know from the breakout of Vorkuta prison, and then the other just died. We think that they're talking about the death of Viktor Reznov from the escape from Vorkuta. However, the next morning, this is what happens on Friday, November 22nd, 1963.
12, 16,
11:22.
6, 12, 8, 4, 1, 6, 2, 10, 2, 1.
Texas. Ascension.
Alex Mason is seen with a picture taken of him in Dallas on November the 22nd, 1963. You see, when we got those first emails from John Trent, when it says they are everywhere, it's speaking of sleeper agents from Russia who are controlled by the number sequence. That is why on the Monday after the assassination, there is another email received by Jason Hudson, this time with a coded set of numbers and the message that says, her name is Evelyn Cross. The photo is for your eyes only. This will be my last letter for quite some time. When the time comes, you will know what to do. So starting out with Evelyn Cross. Evelyn Cross is the one that reads the numbers sequence out throughout the game. Essentially, she is the one broadcasting the numbers for Russia. And in fact, at the very end of the game, she is the one that we can hear reading out the numbers before we see that little cutscene with Alex Mason being in Dallas. Now, the numbers at the beginning of that email where it says echelon and then the numbers translates to Oswald compromised. Now, of course, if you know anything about JFK, Oswald was the one that either did or was framed for doing the act, but we really know it was Alex Mason. Speaking of which, if you want a little bit more proof of that, we can see that when Alex Mason first goes and meets JFK inside the Pentagon, sitting right behind JFK on one of the screens as Mason is tripping out is a picture of Lee Harvey Oswald before the event even took place. So everything that was sent by John Trent was a warning for what was going to happen. In fact, where he specifically said the other one just died, he wasn't referring to Viktor Reznov dying, he was referring to the death of Alex Mason after what he was going to do to JFK. However, the CIA couldn't have it look like it was an inside job and was pulled off by the CIA if someone like Alex Mason was captured doing it, so the framing of Lee Harvey Oswald happened, which was even sent out by John Trent via the coded message. So Jason Hudson, one of the CIA higher-ups, is being sent these emails and direct emails as well to JFK about warnings as to what was going to happen next, specifically with the Russian sleeper agents. So the question is who is John Trent and how does he know all of this information? Well, I haven't told you one thing yet. There is one last email. You have done well. Please tell Mason one last thing. This time, it's freedom for both of us.
Freedom! For you, Mason! Not for me! Reznov!
So this gives it away. If you haven't figured it out, John Trent is Viktor Reznov. And I know what you're thinking. Viktor Reznov died at the end of Vorkuta. However, if you go and take the echelon numbers, which are given out at the beginning of every single mission in Black Ops, you can actually decode them. And when you do, it translates to this. Reznov is dead. Or is he dead? There was no body. Is he who he says he is. So again, the entire campaign, it was making you guess whether or not Viktor Reznov was there. And as we find out through the campaign, he was not. He was in Alex Mason's head the entire time. Every time you saw him, he was not there. But that does not mean he wasn't alive. And in fact, John Trent has been looking out for Alex Mason ever since Vorkuta and even after that. Because remember that last email that I told you about? This email wasn't sent until 5 years later, 1968, 5 years after the JFK assassination. What this means is this was sent after Jason Hudson was successful at deprogramming Alex Mason, after the numbers were out of his head, after Nikita Dragovich had been taken out. This is not him saying that it's freedom for Viktor Reznov now. He is saying that it is freedom for Alex Mason. So again, when he says the other one just died, he was referring to the death of Alex Mason because for what he was about to do. However, somehow John Trent or Viktor Reznov still had his back with the Oswald email, framing him and therefore once again saving Alex Mason until he could be deprogrammed and de-brainwashed by Jason Hudson. Viktor Reznov or John Trent was still saving Alex Mason's life years after they had seen each other. But this also means one other thing. This means in 1968, with this email being sent saying it's freedom for both of us, that means Viktor Reznov was still alive. Which means in Black Ops 2 in the year 1989, when they are in Afghanistan and they are stuck in the desert and Viktor Reznov shows up once again being Alex Mason's guardian angel, it could very well mean he was there.